Good afternoon and welcome to Destination Wellbeing. We're in our 8th episode now of Destination Wellbeing, which goes out on a Tuesday and a Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m. My guest this afternoon is Tom, and Tom is from the Wellfit Cafe in Newry. So you may have seen Tom on with Rowan perhaps on the morning show. Yeah. And you've been in a few times, Tom.
A few times with our Rowan, yeah. It's always a good experience.
Always a pleasure, yes, indeed. And I myself, I'm on with Rowan on a Thursday morning, so sort of beating the drums of health and well-being and hoping to improve the health and well-being of all the listeners. And how long are you open now, Tom?
We opened 1st of July.
1st of July.
So we're just over 3 months now.
And all's going good?
All's going good, yeah. Just
Great.
leaving a very nice busy lunchtime, which always does my heart good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see people in, and I suppose for those who maybe aren't familiar with your business, Tom, if you can give us a wee bit on the location and what your main you're the mission for good nutrition. So we can focus a bit on the nutrition bit, because obviously we've viewers watching in from various different parts of the world who maybe can't access just the Newry market, but we'll have a bit of a chat around what suggestions we would make for nutrition between ourselves.
Yeah, great. For anybody that's not from the Newry area that isn't fortunate enough to be able to come down to Wellfit Cafe, we've got a very popular Facebook page. You just find us on the Wellfit Cafe on Facebook. Wellfitcafe.com is the website, and Wellfit Cafe on Twitter.
Okay,
so
brilliant. And there's lots of tips and lots of stuff going out there that people can access.
At least 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
We post our dishes that we have on the day, things about nutrition, things that are happening in the local community for the fitness and sports side of things as well, which is part of what we're about.
The whole bit, yeah.
But coming back to Newry for a minute, we're on the old Warren Point Road by the graveyard.
Yes, and lots of parking, which is great.
Yeah, it's great. I've taken a say in the graveyard now. So many times I've had to explain to people where it is. Yeah. And even if you're a stranger to Newry, you know where the graveyard is.
Yes, you'll find it. It's a bit difficult to miss, isn't it?
Even though we are the Wellfit Cafe,
yeah.
We're by the graveyard, and hopefully we're keeping you a wee bit further away from the graveyard if you come and see us.
Yes, indeed. And the nutrition principles, I started by background's food science, so I studied food technology and food science at Loughry College in Cookstown. And
not far from where I grew up.
Right, where are you from yourself?
I'm from near Maherfeld.
Ah, great, okay, yeah, so not that far. But and in studying there, then I sort of came out and started a holistic health and weight management program. And I was probably a bit early on the whole thing of saying, you know, really, if we're looking for good health and good well-being, forget about low-fat foods.
Yeah, totally the same. Couldn't agree more.
You know, this was such a concept that was, what, low-fat? Sure, we've been told it's low-fat this and low-sugar that and whatever. And
just means more chemicals most of the time.
Totally, yeah. And a few weeks ago, I had Shauna McCarney-Blair in, actually from another well, I suppose near Maherfeld, it's Derry, but County Tyrone company, the Heavenly Baby Organics.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
And we were talking about that exact principle, that hopefully now people are starting to move towards good quality food as opposed to looking for chemical-free food.
Yeah, and avoiding highly processed food.
Yeah.
Actually, if you ask me, the most simple way to eating well.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. There's eating healthily and eating well, and I would have a principle, sort of, if your grandmother wouldn't recognise it as food, then stay away from it type
Certainly
idea.
so.
And,
that's very much from the Wellfit side of things. That's one massive difference between us. And I've struggled in the past to make it clear what the difference is without making it look like I'm doing down other businesses, because that's not in my nature.
No, it's not.
But when you're trying to contrast what do we do compared to the average place you walk into in Northern Ireland.
Across the board, and across Ireland and the UK.
I
mean, even the Western world, we can go as far as to say.
Like the food in our restaurant, it's not highly processed. We don't buy in processed anything.
Yeah.
A can of tomatoes is about as processed as it gets.
Yeah.
So like when we buy our burgers, for example, extra lean mince, so very low percentage mince, which like no other restaurant that I know of does that.
Yeah,
because it's very expensive.
Yeah,
And then on top of that, we cut very finely grated carrots and mushrooms into those burgers. They took forever, without exaggerating, 7 or 8 attempts to get a recipe that worked.
Yeah, yeah.
The kids, my kids were the test bed.
They were,
So if the kids would eat the burgers, they're going to work.
Yeah, if the kids like them, they're going to work. And, you know, I think that's where the real education for me is so important, right from this age, you know, from the 3-4-year-olds right up to adults, is that processed food does not work. It doesn't, it's not going to. Whether I would be of the belief, even you're going to, you know, look at the treats, like you could go in and you could pick up an apple tart, for example, somewhere. You could have one with 5 ingredients, being apple, flour, margarine, sugar, and, you know, maybe cinnamon or whatever flavours you have in it. Or you could pick up one with 15 ingredients, with preservatives, with
and you can see it on
additives.
the label. You can see it on the label. Eat this, eat that, eat the other.
And it's not the apple tart in moderation that's doing the problem,
I agree with that.
or causing the health concerns. It's the amount of preservatives and additives that are going in that our bodies just aren't able to break down.
As well, like I think an awful, like we have the nutritional transparency on the menu, and again, we're one of, if not the first in Ireland to do that.
Yeah.
And I passionately believe that most people don't realise what they're eating.
Yes. Yeah.
So like when you see back to my burger again, our burger and wedges, we do sweet potato wedges and Cajun potato wedges baked with a real little bit of oil on them. That's adding up to about 500 calories. Yeah. Because I do think calories do matter. It's not fashionable to say today, but you know, if you eat 4,000 calories a day, unless you're a marathon runner, you're going to put weight on.
Yeah, we need a certain amount of calories. We need to watch them, and what comes in must be burnt off or used up, and we need
more
to.
Or less. There are different theories about some calories are better or worse than others and all of that. But at the end of the day, keeping it really simple, which most people want.
Yeah, we just want it easy.
But if you take our burger and wedges, and there you go, and you go to McDonald's, which also have the calories on these days, you're looking at about 800 calories for the McDonald's. And if you picture the little fries, the little tiny papery things that aren't potatoes, actually.
Yes, they're no, very very
it's
far
been a
removed
while
from
since
potatoes.
they've been potatoes.
Yeah.
You're 800 there, but then if you go to just your traditional chippy and have burger and chips, you're into 1,200 calories easily. Yeah. And like, I really do think that people, like, you know, so your average female, an average, a dangerous word again, 2,000 calories roughly a day.
Yeah, we take
some people can have 3 if they're very active and they've a big metabolic rate that's really fast, and some less and so on. But at the end of the day, that burger supper,
is
for most people it's half their intake for the day.
Yeah, they're not having anything more, they're not even able to get anything more nutritious into their diet.
And on top of that, the nature of the fat that's in there and the nature of that burger that you'll get pretty much everywhere else, and like we'll draw McDonald's in because I don't think many people mind batter in McDonald's. Yeah. It's super processed.
Oh, that's so highly,
and where's
highly
that come from and what's in it? Yeah. And so like the whole principle was is transparency with the food, as little processing as possible. We don't deep fry anything. And it's really just to make as much whole food, and as well we use good fats. Yes. We do very little low fat things. Yes.
And I think that's the principle for people with their diet in general. You know, look at the calories that you're taking in, reduce the processed stuff, try and reduce the frying and whatever. Yeah. But if there's fats needed, use good quality good fats. Our body needs fat. Definitely. It can't do without it. It needs a certain amount, and it's a balanced diet, really, isn't it? I think the problem comes in on both extremes. I think more and more we're finding people on very extreme diets. Yeah, definitely. It's be it extremely healthy or extremely unhealthy, but they're very extreme, and the balance doesn't really come into it. So it's about bringing in a good sense of balance into your diet, eating a variety. You know, whenever I'm talking to people, I would say, like, how many different foods do you eat? How often do you change what you eat? And it's like, well, we don't really, very often. For me, one of the other big things is eating seasonally. what's in season now, what is my body needing to get through the winter.
Yeah, just picking up some asparagus today.
Yeah, and I noticed, you know, and changing that, so not expecting, in the same way as you change your clothes from summer to winter, change the type of food you're eating, because you're going to, your body needs different things at that time.
We've switched the menu this week. We've gone a comfort food week.
And that's because that's what the body needs. That's what it's looking for. And I think for people at home to start moving into the soups and the stews and the vegetable, you know, where you're getting in a lot of good vegetables. A lot of the time we talk about the 5 a day. So many people's 5 a day really comes from fruit as well, which is not what was ever intended. It was meant to be the balance really between the fruit and veg. So winter time's a great time, I think, to get those vegetables in and to get them even hidden in for children and stuff too.
Soups are another hobby horse of mine though, because our soups, we don't use dairy produce except if it's something with cheese in it, like a broccoli and blue cheese or whatever soup. But as a rule, we don't use any dairy products in the soup. We don't use cream, for example.
Yeah, so you're
we don't use any mixes of any description.
Yeah, a lot of the time you get homemade vegetable soup.
And it's from a packet.
Yeah. And people, again, as I say, at home, you know, we can look at that you can make good quality soups without adding
soup in particular is such an easy thing to do.
Such an easy one, especially now.
And cheap as well.
Yeah, and feeds the family. And I was listening to a debate on the radio earlier this morning where they're talking about in the south of Ireland bringing in a tax on sugary products, and
they have that in Denmark already.
There was a whole debate ensued as to, you know, but children don't do this and children don't do that. Basically, it came down to, but children will do what parents encourage them to do, and if parents aren't leading by example, then, you know, it's too easy to say, but the children won't eat it. They won't eat it because they haven't been encouraged to eat it. Would be
certainly the case, and like there's a lot of good work going on with other organisations in this area. Like my middle child is at Ballyholland GAA Club.
Yes.
And there, he's starting to learn, like, because they're starting to talk to them about food and part of getting them on more systematic training and stuff. But it hasn't come back asking questions like, "Daddy, are sausages good for you?"
Yeah.
But this is the wee bit of the danger ground. I've seen stuff, not from Ballyholland School, but from another school that will remain nameless, with good and bad food.
Yeah, and I think
and that's not a good thing.
No.
Like, so the answer to, "Wee boy, are sausages good for me, Daddy?" They're not particularly good for you, son. If you have them now and again, it's going to be fine.
And
if you eat that every day, it's probably not going to do you much good.
Yeah. And if it's a good quality, there's a difference between, you know, a fresh butcher's made sausage with the right meat content, the right fat content, the, you know, fresh, good quality meat versus the cheap frozen sausage that's going to but you know we've got an extreme. So I think, as you say, you know, there's a categorization of food that puts everything into the one category. Even one of the examples that were given in a conversation that I overheard the other day was, you know, frozen peas versus tin peas. It's it should be an easy shift enough for people to make. But you're reducing your sugar content, you're reducing your salt content because they're just not in it. Whereas there's people just maybe aren't aware of. I'm slightly obsessed with food labels and nutrition, so I know that I am aware of it. But it would be certainly one of the pieces of advice that I would give people is
slowly the awareness is improving.
Yeah, it's all about education, kind of really, isn't it?
And it's businesses like ours are here because of that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you go to the supermarket, you're used to picking up a packet and saying, "Well, what's in that then?"
Yeah.
Before you buy it. Well, sadly, I would admit to be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm a bit, but you would be surprised
that I certainly do, and I know a lot of people, a growing number of people. That's why the supermarkets are now making the label a lot more clear on a lot of product.
Yeah, have a look at it and see what.
That being said, some of it's still deceptive, which is not the same thing.
One that I picked up recently was, you know, the idea on, and I was just walking past the aisle, and I noticed I don't even know, I must have been looking for something else, but on super noodles, they said, you know, no artificial colourants, no artificial colourants, no artificial preservatives. So this was branded on the top of it. And for a minute, being as savvy and aware as I would be about food labels, I thought, really? Oh, what have they done? Till I realised that probably the colouring was probably turmeric, which was going to give that bright colour. It was a dehydrated product, so it didn't need preservatives, obviously. There was no mention of the artificial flavourings, which the product was packed with. But you can see why, as you said, deceptive, and you can see why people do find it difficult.
My favourite recent one, it was actually in the national press. This one was about Sainsbury's Be Good to Yourself range yoghurt, and the economy one, the one with the red label. I can't remember what Sainsbury's called it, but the cheap one. Basic, that's right. And actually, the basic was lower in calories and lower in fat than the other one, and like a third of the price. But on top of that, on the labelling, one had a quarter pot telling you that it's like 75 calories or whatever.
Yeah, and who's ever going to eat a quarter pot?
Had a fifth of a pot. So from the same company,
the
deliberately misleading the customer.
And who's ever going to eat the quarter of a pot of yogurt, or well, I suppose it depends on the size, but
it's still going on, and that kind of thing will just backfire, and that kind of thing will get less and less.
I think as people educate themselves and make their own choices and demand answers, because that's the only way. We can only use people power really in terms of influence.
That's the only way to make it work.
To make a difference is that if each individual uses their power. I saw a quote just the other day where they said at least 3 times a day you have a choice to vote as to how what your food supply is. Use your vote wisely. And you know, if we take that on board, that every choice we make determines, because it's easy to say, well, that's all I can get, or it's easy to say the manufacturers put that in, and you know, we can another one that I would often encourage people to look at is you know, if you look at Special K versus Frosties, there's a very small difference. If in fact there's you know, there's
actually,
such a
I did an MBA at Trinity College many years ago, too many years, more than I would care to remember. But our marketing lecturer worked for one of the big agencies in Ireland, and one of his first contracts was Kellogg's.
Right.
And the Kellogg's executives had said to him, you know, basically, it's just cardboard. But it's a way of getting kids to have milk, but there's nothing there. And the company back decades ago were saying that, and it's no different now.
It hasn't
It
changed
is one of
very
the
much.
scandals of our life that a lot of people feel that their kids are getting cereal in the morning. I'm doing something all right, but it's generally just empty calories. What's in there? Just
empty calories, and then fortified per se with whatever else. And you know, it's another one. As I say, with having studied at Loughry, we had a lecturer who would have been very into keep food basic, keep it simple, don't modify it in any way, keep it as close to its natural state as possible. And he talked about full fat milk being 96% fat free without doing anything to it. And like that, it was a bit of a marketing conversation, and he was saying, you know, we've brought in 98% fat free. In doing so, we're affecting the vitamin D content, because vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, and if we remove the vitamin D, then our body struggles to absorb the calcium, and then there's other arguments as to whether it can actually absorb it. But that was the basis of the conversation that we were having, that really it was, you know, full fat milk in moderation wasn't going to make anybody obese. It wasn't going to be a big problem.
Same as the butter and margarine argument.
It shouldn't don't even think there should be an argument on that thing.
But you've heard it, and for a lot of people are confused about that.
A lot of people don't know,
You know, oh God, I thought I was doing myself good getting margarine when it's basically, you know, oil.
And it can't
petroleum.
But one of the things whenever I'm again talking to people about that, the butter margarine rule, you know, they'll say like, okay, it's a hydrogenated fat, but if we take carbon dioxide and we remove one molecule, it becomes carbon monoxide, which is toxic and dangerous. If we take margarine and we remove some of the fat, hydrogens in the fat, then it, you know, it can't, our body doesn't recognize it, and it can't break it down. But when we were talking about that, you know, and it's, so we're so much, I think one of the biggest problems that we have with food supply is that we very much rely on the companies to supply us with the information, and that therefore we become puppets of the market here, really.
Yeah, well, that's another hobby horse of mine. Is like basically you don't get the broccoli farmer heavily advertising or marketing.
No. Yeah.
So like the less processed foods got nobody to champion.
Yeah, there's nobody there behind. Well, again,
there's no big money behind
it.
You know, helping people understand that. Other than government, there's no interest commercially for anybody to do that.
Yeah. No, there's
that is
there
the
doesn't.
truth
There's
of the
not.
matter.
Yeah,
and
but
the money, the market, the advertising and marketing is the money is what makes that happen.
It's like the pharmaceutical industry is of the same sort of mix. And again, one of the quotes that I would use is those that we live with in the world that we're in at the minute, we have a healthcare system that gives healthcare industry that gives no consideration to food, and a food industry that gives very little consideration to health.
Yeah.
And until that changes, back to even as Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food.
On the window of the cafe.
Then until we go back to that, but again, the pharmaceutical companies don't want to know that food can be the answer to good health, because
it's also
there's no money behind
there's
it for
also
them.
A cultural difference about that. You find in Asia, people are a lot more aware of the link between food and health.
Definitely.
Here, most people are just aware of a link between, say, food and heart disease or something. But there, it is a lot more holistic about what food can do for you negatively or positively, even mentally.
Yeah, everything. I mean, what you take in.
Things.
Well, I would. One of the topics that I would cover is mood food and how the food can actually affect
crashes
sugar crash, and just even getting enough vitamin B and enough magnesium and all of that in to help cope with stress and to cope with migraines. There's so many health conditions that we can all benefit by looking at what we eat, and it's not just weight that's affected.
I would say from my own experience that having a better diet. My diet's not perfect. I definitely don't paint myself any kind of saint, but I eat 90% very good.
Well, I think that's what we all, even if we can live for the 80-20 rule.
And I don't actually, personally, I don't buy into total abstinence things and I can't eat this and I can't eat that. That's not living in my view.
It's not. We don't live in human nature doesn't allow us even to do that on a long-term basis.
I know not everybody will agree with me on that, but that's just my own personal philosophy. It's like, you know, if you want a lump of cake and now and again, have a lump of cake.
Again, I think it would come down to what type of cake. A nice freshly baked cake. Okay, it might have fresh cream in it, it might have some butter, it might have sugar. But if you're doing it less of the time rather than all of the time, and your body will figure out how to cope with that. Whereas if you're thinking, oh, I'll have a low-fat cake or a version or a bar chocolate or whatever, your body's still a week later trying to figure out how to work it down.
The low-fat fallacy's got to be the biggest one of our lifetime, I think.
Really,
like,
and
we've again, like the food at our place is not low-fat, and we cook like with coconut oil and put lots of things like that in our dishes, and at least from the studies that I've read myself, is that I'm going to say something very controversial.
Oh well, sure.
To me, it's like all the weight loss programs are like, it's like a bloody heroin for women, if you ask me. Is get on a low-fat diet, and they all try to rebadge it now with calling it something else. But in my opinion, it's low-fat diets. And the yo-yo diet, and the science behind it is, I've got no fat. So they do lose weight, and they keep it off, and providing they stick to their low-fat diet. And then the archetypal, Christmas, I had a tub of Quality Street and I put on a stone. And I'm exaggerating for effect, but everybody's heard.
We've all been there. We've all, like, there's some famous actress, I think, is it, that has said, over the years I've lost the total of 100 pound, or there's some, I've put it on and put it off, but like constantly.
The science behind that, and it's not just one study. It's basically you're in famine mode. Your body sees some fat, it clings onto it abnormally. Plus, you've probably got issues with salt and things going on that have made you retain water and everything that boosts it up even more. Because there's no way that amount of calories is going to put that amount of weight on you.
Logically speaking.
And so, and then, oh my God, I'm fat, which I despise. the lack of esteem that goes with that, being good and bad.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm quite feminine about it. I've never said it in real public before.
Yeah, but
it's just crap.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a good girl or a bad girl. And then, oh, I've got to get back to whatever regime I'm on, and then I'll lose weight again. And like, you know, God, what's the difference between that and heroin?
Yeah, it's a
like,
psychological
I only feel good
game.
when I'm on it.
Yeah, it's a psychological game that is played that is wrong. And that said, it does work for some people. But I think the people that it works, that it stays with, are people that have made possibly other changes in their life as well.
The thing is, when it is a I think we would all say that the people that it's been a long-term, sustained, decade-long lifestyle change compared to the yo-yo diet people that we know. Yeah. That's would be my argument.
That we all know, and you know, as a woman, obviously, because it's generally women are affected by it.
We've a lot of men in our place.
I've been, you know, you've been through that phase where I'm on this diet for this long, and it's whatever, and then you actually realise, like, this is never going to work. And people would talk about, you know, I'm on a diet. Yeah. And I would say, but no, your diet should just be what you're eating every day, ongoing for the rest of your life, not for a week period or a 6-week period or a 2-year period, even for some people.
And just eat good food.
Yeah.
Do some exercise. And even if we go back to the low fat things, when someone decides to eat a healthy diet, they'll actually put weight on in those circumstances, which makes most people freak out. Because, oh my God, I've put on a few pounds or whatever. But with time, your body, because it's getting good fat, again, it's my own personal experience, and studies show that if you've got a good supply of healthy fat in your diet, you burn fat a lot more effectively than if you don't.
Your body's going
even
to
if you do
regulate its metabolism over.
Quality street or whatever it is, it's a lot less stress for your body to deal with than if you've already got a decent amount of fat going through you.
Yeah, you need and again, it comes back to giving the body what it has had for generations and generations, and you know, like prehistoric man was eating a diet. There might have been high fat content in it. There might have been, but they were able to. Their metabolism was able to work through that because there was none of the other nonsense. I would describe it sometimes, and I don't know if this is one of those analogies, but it's like somebody coming to your house that you recognise, or somebody coming to your house that you don't. If you put normal, natural, unprocessed food into your body, your brain, your digestive enzymes, everything goes, oh yeah, there's a wee bit of fat. I know what to do with that. I'm going to engage the lipase. I'm going to engage the the protein and break that down. The food that, be it the artificial sweetener or the fat substitute or the hydrogenated fat or whatever goes in, the brain spends that much time trying to figure out, how do I get rid of this? Does my immune system kick in? And then we wonder why we've more people sick with allergies and intolerances and things like that, because their body's in this constant state of fighting against something as opposed to trying to engage in breaking it down. And as a holistic therapist, like, I would see so many people with digestion problems, constipation, everything, and to me it's just because their system has got so sluggish because of what's been put into it. And that may be people who believe that they're eating a healthy diet. It just might be a low fat diet, you know, or filled with low fat or sweetener alternatives, or they're drinking diet in terms of fizzy drinks or whatever it is, and they're just not getting into their system food that the body can recognise and break it down. So I think in terms of our nutrition message, that's probably the one we're in agreement in today, is, you know, just unprocessed. Reduce if we can reduce the amount of processed food, whether that's low fat, low sugar, whatever it is, and just...
Here's another thing though, I think, if we don't know what our time's like.
No, we're grand, we're okay.
I know it's something I was talking to your producer friend there before we kicked off, and I think that a lot of people think when you say low processed and, you know, healthy food, that means like strap on the sackcloth and ashes because it's not nice. That's a genuine perception. I genuinely feel that in the business that I'm in, because I'm doing someone that's really new and not really been done before. I think there's a good amount of people out there that think, oh, that's that healthy stuff. It's probably not that good, and it's not. Like, the way, and this is how the business got started. I was put on an eating plan with a weight loss program that I was on myself. and they were saying, right, eat this, that, and the other, and it was just so bland and so boring. And I was going, that ain't going to work. Yeah. So I'm a keen amateur cook, and I'm a good cook. Yeah. I couldn't work in our kitchen for the life of me. That's
yeah, but we can all be. Yeah, that's a different. That's a different hat.
For a few people coming around,
yeah.
I'm a brilliant show-off cook.
Yeah.
And I just started buying all these books about cooking clean and healthier and so on. And I started to put stuff up on my gym Facebook page, just showing off. Yeah. Look what I did, and it's really, really healthy, and it's lovely. And the reaction people was, what? Yeah. I didn't realise you could do that. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like...
it really doesn't have to be, as you say, tasteless, boring, and it doesn't even have to be...
difficult.
It can be so simple and so easy. Like, one of the things I would make often there, I would have a bit of a sweet tooth, and I do like a dessert. I think
me too.
I like to finish off what I'm eating in the evenings with something sweet, be it a piece of fruit or whatever. I think it changes your taste.
I'm a high percentage dark chocolate man.
Yeah, well, or an after dinner mint or whatever. But one of the things that I would do is even like a fruit crumble, but in it I might have the crumble on the top, might have oats, it could have honey, it might have linwood seeds, you know, the flax seed and whatever. It could have some nuts, it could have, you know, so it's not your tradition, but it's so tasty and it's crunchy and it's crumbly, and it certainly ticks all the boxes in terms of what you would be wanting from a sweetness point of view, but you're also getting your healthy fats, you're in the forms of your flaxseed, and you're getting some of your benefits from your nuts and things like that. So it's so easy.
On the same note, like we've got one of the ladies who works with us in Wellfit, she's a paleo head case.
Right, okay.
She's really into her paleo stuff, and she's on a journey towards doing a fitness model competition next year. Okay. So she's training really hard and she's eating really strictly. But
we'll maybe just inform people on paleo. So
paleo. Well, like basically, there's different terms, but caveman diet. It's the easiest way to describe it. It's not precise, but if the caveman wouldn't recognise it, then don't eat it. Yeah. And it's you know, you're not allowed a lot of grains and gluten and things like that aren't in there. And dairy's out as well, so it's basically, and I'm sure there'll be some paleo person going, he totally misdescribed that. Yeah,
well anyway, we'll go. That's the general.
There we are. It's whole foods. Yeah. So Melena's really into paleo baking, so she's come up with these brownies. We do them now as a special this week all the time, but the basis of them, sweet potato. Yeah. It's like
beetroot and chocolate cake is fabulous.
The baked sweet potato with the skin off, then with some coconut flour, some coconut oil, some 80% dark chocolate in there. The original one didn't even have that, and it was still lovely. Yeah. But she wanted to, that's still okay with paleo to put the high percentage chocolate in it. Yeah. And it's just amazing. And it's full on chocolate brownie. Now it's 300 calories, a little like for the ordinary size square, but it's good quality, you're going to, it's good fat that's in there. Yeah, and other nutrients as well. And I think that's the important bit is that sometimes, we need to look at the fat bit, but we also need to look at what am I getting, what value am I getting for this? Am I getting some, you know... It's even nut-free.
Well, there we go, excellent.
So it's lovely. It's like, you know, those kind of things, you know, when people, it's just to illustrate the point of, you know, that's a brownie.
Yeah, and I think that's the message, is that, you know, if we can eat unprocessed very naturally, very easily, and really, if we're looking at improving our health and our well-being, it's to get back to the natural. And look, microwaves, I know, is another one, and we're nearly on time today, but I think it's one that you avoid. Yeah,
we don't have one.
Those. Yeah, no, I haven't had one for a few years either, and I would certainly encourage people to look at taking them out of their homes and
even just on how to use them. Yeah, it's like just don't put plastic
in it. Yeah, ceramic in there. So, well, Tom, thanks a million for your time
Great, Joanne.
Today.
Thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck for the next few months. Anyway,
come and see us.
Yeah. Thanks a million, and thanks to our viewers for watching in.